Hello and welcome to our webinar on the use of My Legal Space for communicating with clients and third parties about matters, literally communicating with anyone. Now, one of the big points about communicating with clients and third parties is that you want it to be efficient, but these days you really need it to be secure. So that's one of the areas that email can let us down in terms of how it works. Now let's have a look at My Legal Space and how that works. I'm going to show it to you through DPS software. So I'm loading my Outlook, and once I've loaded my Outlook, I'm going to log in. So that's my username right there. So I type in my username and I type in my password, which gives me access to, in this case, my Outlook and my case management, which is actually rolled into one, because the case management is part and parcel of the Outlook. So you can see how I'm inside my Outlook 2010 right there, and I've got my appointments, I've got my work to do today, I've got my performance graphs, I've got my recently opened files, and I've got the things I can do in my case management right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here on Aspel Jones, which is a recently opened file of mine. So what that does is actually open that particular case file for me to have a look at. So one click there and that goes away to fetch the file for me. The file is now opened up and it's showing me the cover of the file, so I can be absolutely positive that I'm working on the correct file. So if I click on that and I go through, so I'm there. Now when I say I'm there, I'm actually working in the file, I'm in my Outlook, and these are the things that I can do. So I can do my terms and conditions, I can do my client initial letter, I can do my evidence of identity, and up here in my file history, these are the things which I've already done, so therefore they're on the electronic file. Now as you can see, I've already done my terms and conditions, I've done various documents on this file, and what you're looking at here on the left hand side is actually the whole of the case file in an electronic format, previewed on the right hand side, shown on the left hand side in short. And what we now need to do is to say communicate with our client and send them these terms and conditions. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to right click, and down here, can you see down here it says send to My Legal Space? So from there I'll click on that, and now it says okay, who do you want to send it to? Now who are we sending it to? We're sending it to any party that's connected to this matter, or if we want to enter an email address down the bottom here, anyone else. The fact it's gone is still going to be addressed against the file. I'm going to send it to my client, which happens to be at this email address which is registered on our system. So now when they get it, I want them to approve or reject that document, and I want them to be allowed to print it, so I tick the allowed to print box. But by the way, I do want a signature as well. Now here, this box here says when do I want it chased by? What that means is that if the client has not approved it or rejected it by the 14th of October, or I'll give them up to the 21st, then what will happen is that the system, that's My Legal Space, will chase them for that approval. Now what's our next step? What are we waiting for? We're waiting for a deposit check. So that's like telling the client in this space that we are awaiting deposit check, and we're next going to review the file on the 12th, but we're not going to do that. Let's say we'll review it on the 21st. When I click OK, that document will go straight up to My Legal Space, and it will set up, it will actually be securely up there so that the client can get it. Now I've got to stress that the client doesn't know anything about My Legal Space at the moment. All the client knows is that this document has been sent to them. What My Legal Space will now do is it will actually email the client, and it will send them a password, send them a login to tell them that the documents are ready for them. So clearly, for us to be able to show it to you on this webinar, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to become that client. So I'm going to have to put my Outlook away, put my case management away, so that goes away, so that's gone now. And what we now need to do is to log in to the client's email address. Now it's under Google Mail, so I'm going to go here to my Chrome browser, and there I'm going to click there, and if you can see now, I'm logged in as the client, and I've now had 2 emails automatically come through to me. They came through at 16:19, moments after we sent up to My Legal Space. And remember, the client doesn't know anything about My Legal Space, so they've had 2 messages. The first was a welcome message. Let's have a look at that. So it's introducing the client to My Legal Space. It's telling them that they've been registered so they can track their case and receive documents. And it tells them some documents have already been sent, so you can, and you've been assigned a password to access them. Now it's told them their passwords arrived on another email. So let's have a look at where their password is, and that is here on this one. So we can see they've had a password there. So for them to log in, they'll click on this button and they log in. Now they'll need to enter in their password, their username and their password there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lazily copy that, which is actually their username. There's the username, and I've copied that in there. And I'm going to have to copy their password as well. And the password is right here. Now it's a password that's not easily remembered, but it is one that's been created for the client for their own security. And what will happen is the client will get the opportunity to change it. Now the client's doing this on their own machine, so they can get the system to remember their username, remember their password. So in that respect, if I OK that, that's logging in. But take a look at what's happened here. Because it knows it's the first time that they've logged in, it's saying to the client, hello and welcome. Now that's saying from DPS Software. Clearly in your case it's going to say from ABC Legal Practice, whoever it may be that you're sending it to. So now it's saying, what's the client's username when they log in? Do they want it to be that email address? Probably not. Why don't we say that they want to make their username nice and simple for them to remember. It's just Osman, and they're going to set their password to something that they're going to remember far easier than the password we had. So they're resetting their passwords. Now they can't change the email address. The email address is what it is, and that's what they're going to be notified on. Mobile number. If they enter their mobile number here, that means that when My Legal Space gets alerts, then it will actually text them and say, by the way, you've got an alert. And on a mobile phone like an iPhone, if they click on the button they get the alert from, it will take them straight to the site. And this is where this client chooses, say, if they put their phone number in, should they be texted alerts, should they be texted milestones. What about Twitter? This is where if they want alerts tweeted to them, and on iPhones this is particularly useful, any form of BlackBerry, that type of system, then what happens is that if they get the tweets, they'll be able to click on a link and go straight on their phone to the website to see what's gone on. Now in this case we're not going to tweet and Twitter, and this is where the client gets to upload a little picture of themselves so we can see what they look like. So this is the first time this client gets this, and this is the only time they'll see this unless they come back onto their settings screen. Now they've saved it, what happens is that they can see that they now have a document to approve, and there's the document that they've been sent, and it happens to be version 1, and they're being asked to approve it. So if we open that up, that's going to show us the document to approve, and there are our terms and conditions. Page 3, page 4. If you recall, when it was sent to them, they were allowed to print it, and they were asked to approve it or reject it, and they were also asked to sign it. So there's a tick box for signature. So if they say they're just going to approve it, it says to them that sorry, you need to sign it. If they say to reject it, again it needs signature first. So if we say OK to sign it, and we click on the approve button, and what will happen now is that this task will leave this particular user's area. So you see they have no more tasks. So let's go back now to my cases for my task. These are the only cases I have, so these are my matters. And if I open the case, I can see that my handler is actually PJF. The last time it was updated with this date, they're going to review on the 21st. Do you remember we said they're awaiting a deposit check? It says they're awaiting a deposit check, so I know, and there's my details. And this is what's happened so far. So now, as a client, I have full access to all the documents that are actually held for me. Now, what are these milestones? This shows me my milestones that are done on this particular matter. And as you can see, these are the milestones that have happened on this particular matter. So when we were engaged, that's the date it was open, that's the particulars received, the client engagement letter sent, and the client engagement letter received. There's our effective completion date, but we haven't informed them. So really these are the actual milestones on the system. Here now are our messages. So far we've actually had a set of standard terms and conditions sent, and they've been approved and signed and returned back. So from this point of view, the client has got absolute use of an area on the web to keep their cases and their case files together. All the documents for their case file are held together, and any changes to their case file in terms of milestone movements are alerted to the client directly via email, text or Twitter. Here is where the setup is, and this is where they can change their username. These are the settings you saw earlier, when they can add their own settings. So using My Legal Space means that they get access to all of these documents that they're sent to. So it means that because they've actually said they've signed it, in this case it tells them they've approved and signed it, and they actioned it on the 11th of October. So they received it on the 11th of October, and it was actioned on the 11th of October. If they want to have a look at it, see what they approved and signed, they can see its status as approved and signed. It was last accessed at this time and this date, and it actually got put on the system on the 11th of the 10th. And there is the document, and they can print it out from there because they're authorized to print that particular document. So as you can see, it gives a client a real method of communicating and liaising with us. Now, if I was an estate agent or some other form of work provider, I may have many more than one case here, and I could go into each case and access the status of it. There is a contact us button, and what that means is that which case do you want to contact us about, tell us what you're saying, and this will now go straight back to the case handler. Now, My Legal Space is a lot smarter than just sending documents straight up. If the documents that I had sent to My Legal Space had been a form, then the client would be able to fill the form in online and send it back as well. And that will actually end up back on the case as well. So overall, it's not just a method of client communication, it's actually a method of client collaboration. Now, what we're hoping is that this webinar gives you a flavour of the way it works, so that you can actually look into it and how you can incorporate it into your business, because this is not the sort of thing you just switch on. What you need to do really is to get your staff to embrace it in terms of communicating with clients, and there are procedural changes to be made within your business so that your clients understand that this is the way you'll communicate. And what that means is that it'll end up costing you a lot less, and it'll be very, very secure. Okay, thanks very much for listening to this webinar. And what we're going to do is we are holding sessions on My Legal Space so that you can see how they could potentially fit into your own business, and we'll invite you to contact someone in the accounts admin team to help you run through that. Thanks so much.